I kind of try and go to every set feeling that there's something that I can take away from here.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always room for more, but it's not like it fell by the wayside or didn't catch anyone's eyeballs. It just came and went. It wasn't like that at all. You always kind of look for. I think it's important to push yourself and see the glass half empty. Not really get into a negative space and become like pessimistic about things.
Subscribe and hit the bell icon to never miss another update from India Forums.
He is an architect of unforgettable characters. He has carved out a niche for himself by doing characters that are gracious, glorious and gritty. Today we have with us Ishwak Singh. Welcome to India Forums.
Lovely chatting with you.
Thank you. So firstly, starting with, there's a lot to talk about Paatal Lok. Of course, it's coming, the excitement, the buzz is there. But I'll start with your earlier projects where you actually stole the hearts of the audiences, and one of them was Berlin. People have raving about the character you have played, how it was muted and deaf, and how it was difficult to play that. So what do you have to say about that? And do you feel that it did not get the recognition it should have gotten?
No, it got a pretty widespread recognition, I think, from the industry veterans, audiences. Had crazy kind of penetration. I mean, I was shooting in interiors of UP, and people, I went out to dine, and then there's boys walking up to me and talking about Berlin.
Okay.
At the airport, your CISF Jawans.
Yeah.
So it's like it had kind of penetration, and you don't expect everything to be blow up in a way that it's got to be there in your face all the time, but it's got its recognition.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always room for more, but it's not like it fell by the wayside or didn't catch anyone's eyeballs. It just came and went. It wasn't like that at all. I got calls from industry veterans, and the response in terms of work for all of us has been phenomenal. Great filmmakers have reached out, committed films.
Okay.
People I'm working with are already, extremely moved by every aspect of the film.
Yeah.
So it's overwhelming. It's like one of those. It's like the feeling that I've got after doing a show like Paatal Lok, Rocket Boys, and Berlin. I kind of put them in the same category.
Right. Now coming to Paatal Lok season 2, there's a lot happening. Talking about your character as Ansari, he has everything which has the terms right. He is righteous. He has done things in the right manner. Now with all the hard work, he has gotten that promotion where he is in the second season. So he's been doing things in very right manner. So how much of you take that into Ishwak?
I mean, there's always something that triggers inside, and that's how you kind of really relate to the character, and you can sort of portray the character honestly if you've got something inside that you find a parallel, and it's also sometimes you have you see a lot of these people outside. That's one thing. I mean, kind of finding the character inside and relating to it is one thing. But I think the other thing with Paatal Lok, which has been unique, and it's something that I really enjoyed, how I kind of approached the character in season 1 and season 2, was to actually meet these heroes, the unsung heroes in the police force. It's a very thankless job, I feel. I mean, no department is perfect, but my interactions with some of the officers while I was prepping for season 1 and 2. In the first one, I was more, talking to people and the ones who are on the ground, like sub-inspector, that kind of that part of the department. And as I've got promoted in this one, I spoke to young IPS officers.
Okay.
And it's like their stories somewhere, because they also have such extraordinary stories. When you listen to how they've kind of come of age and how they've kind of worked their way up, it just becomes very inspiring, and I almost feel like I owe it to them to tell their story. How nobody really goes and appreciates the good work that the police does, and they do. I mean, honestly, it's like if you go and see the way the cities can sort of lawlessness it can fall into. It's these guys are fighting crime every second,
Right.
and they're understaffed, they're overworked, still really going out full guns blazing, doing things that is something that I think at the heart of it, among other things, really inspired me, and I wanted to do justice to Ansari.
Yes.
It's like my ode to the unsung heroes.
Nice, lovely. Talking about your career path and journey, there have been underrated roles, but the way you have done them, they just stood out. They are shining. So I want to know that in this journey of success, failures, everything, what is that point where you just felt fulfilled? That okay, I have fulfilled what I want to do.
I can always it's how you look at the glass. It seems half full.
Half
it seems half empty.
Yes.
It's also like there's another way of looking at it, and it all really depends on what kind of mind space you're in.
Yeah.
If I see my beginning, I couldn't be thankful enough. But then there's always, like I said, you always kind of look for. I think it's important to push yourself and see the glass half empty. Not really get into a negative space and become pessimistic about things, but it's important to be ambitious. It's important to see that there are possibilities, and then I can do more. I could have done more in terms of a more wide range of films. My character, I could have done more in the performances you're talking about. I feel that some or the other, there's always room for improvement there. So all kinds of conversations going on, thoughts coming in my head, and I think it's important to kind of, while all this madness is going on in your head, all these gunshots are being fired, it's important to kind of center yourself, which is, I think, for an actor, any actor worth his salt will tell you that it's got to be, you need to see that where do I stand now from the day I started, in terms of craft more than anything else.
Of course, yeah.
Because I mean, this is the kind of work where nothing happens for decades, and then suddenly decades will happen in weeks, and it seems like a sudden success, but it's not. So you got to just keep going, I guess.
True. So as a person, how are you? Are you too much of self-critical, or do you validate your performances at point?
You don't want to beat yourself down too much, but at the same time, you need to have a critical eye, critique your work, be open to criticism. Because there's always, I mean, there's this, I wouldn't say there's always room for improvement. There's this, nowhere close to perfection in acting, because there's this always it's one craft that I guess it's so intangible that you can't really say that this guy's got it right. You have a certain approach. That's what makes a performance interesting, unpredictable. That's the first thing. But then there's so many other aspects of going out there, looking the part, feeling it, doing it right. Your voice quality, your craft, your technique, how you are kind of really, you take each scene at a time, each line at a time, and I guess also how loose you are on a film set. How easy you are with your ecosystem. I mean, it's not just your performance. The thing is that I guess this is something that I also have kind of realized and made it more and more a part of my thing. On stage, it's a little different. On a film set, I think it's that the thing of being a team player is, it just kind of really changes things, because everyone's looking at the guy under the spotlight. On stage, it's a smaller crew. You don't have a crew. It's just the actors. You're doing everything on your own. Now here you are dependent on 10 different departments, and they're looking at you. They can drop the ball, you can't.
Fair.
So anyone can lose the cool, you can't, because you're in everyone's crosshairs.
So as you were mentioning about this, do you feel that you being from a theatre background helps in this?
In what?
You know, just as you say, staying focused and being there in the moment while you are on the stage.
Yeah, I mean, I attribute everything to every aspect of the work that I'm doing here, my personality, my work, craft, to the work that I've done on stage.
Yes.
Of course, there's like this, it's what also sort of kicks in is an attitude, because you know, you kind of while that's like the foundation,
True.
and it's also a place where I stuck around for a while,
Yeah.
you know, on stage, kept doing, you know, while I was doing film work, I kept going back to stage,
Okay.
regular work rather, when I started out, you know,
Yeah,
started
yeah.
getting bit-sized roles and more roles, and even now when I get the chance, I try
Okay.
and go back on stage. Like last year I did 3 plays,
Oh.
and I think it's from the work point of view, you know, it's, my thing is not just like, it's not purely, you know, hitting the nets and practicing, owning your craft. It's also like there's so much of playfulness.
True.
It's playfulness, now it's playfulness first. Oh, because once you get the hang of it, that's why it's like an
Yeah.
addiction. And while you're doing that, while you're enjoying it, you just kind of have revelations. You figure out, you know, you
True,
kind
right.
of feel that I can slip into the skin of the character easily. You know, more, it's getting like the ease is more and more.
Yeah.
So it's just got like, I mean, I can't be thankful enough for the time that I've spent on stage and the work that I've done. And
Yeah.
more than that, you know, aside from that, it just kind of makes you, I guess, in that environment, it's like, just think about this. If you're like in a mandir chanting bhajans day in day
Yeah.
out, you know, keep going there, it's going to have a certain influence on you.
course, yeah.
You know, certain calm will settle in. If you're really enjoying it, not by force,
course, yeah.
because someone's like
It'll
putting it
settle
down.
in your mind
Yeah, I mean,
space, yes.
I've spent so much time going to a place like the Habitat Center, you know,
Okay.
doing plays on the at the amphitheater, and you know, just spending the entire day there in that sort of space.
Yeah.
It just kind of shapes your mind in a certain way. You know,
Right.
to be in that artistic environment, in that calm environment,
Of course.
to be dabbling in classic literature, doing those plays, just kind of gives you a humane perspective more than anything else.
Right. Also about your dynamic with Jaideep. Of course, we've seen in the show how you two are, you know, just there are different dynamics you go through, and then, but still there's a sense of togetherness, you know, that bond is there between you two. So coming to the second season, how does that change or evolve?
It's going to be very interesting. You should watch the show to find out
Of course.
how it pans out. But I think from my point of view, the only thing that I'm going to say is that, you know, when like this character and the dynamic that you're talking about, it's interesting to see that, you know, the person who's like, now the tables have turned.
Yeah.
And
He's-
how does someone who's, you know, your subordinate, who's a certain way, if he becomes your superior, your senior, then how does, you know, his attitude change? Does it change? Does it not? And it's a very common thing in the police department, and a lot of people
Yeah.
let go of it because they think that, see, I mean, Ansari doesn't owe anything to him.
True.
It was a part of, he was doing his duty, so was
Yeah.
Hathiram. But there are some officers who, after getting promoted, and maybe not just in police department, you know, when you kind of supersede your
It
mentor,
gets in the head.
when you supersede your mentor, you kind of don't forget what that man taught you.
True.
You know, you don't forget that this is a person who literally, you know, showed you the way.
Yes.
You know, he's someone who's guided you, and how much you owe to that person. I mean, in my case, it's people like my theatre director, the some of the first few directors I worked with in the industry, and even now the ones I'm working with, I kind of try and go to every set feeling that, you know, there's something that I can take away from here, from this man. Especially if you work with the, you know, the senior directors,
Yes.
masters who've been around for like decades. There's so much to learn from them. And now if I'm in a position of power tomorrow, should my attitude towards them change? So it's that.
Yeah.
And that is what defines character, and that's why I think Ansari's character is beautiful.
True. And lastly, about your future projects, there have been reports that you will be a part of Gandhari with Tapsi Pannu. So, what's the buzz around that?
If there are reports, reports are to be believed.
Yes. And do you have something to add to that?
Wait and watch.
Okay.
Thank you for watching me on India Forums.